Hello and welcome back to the channel. If it is your first time here, welcome. My name is Cairo and I'm going to be breaking down how to start playing Magic the Gathering Arena today. Magic the Gathering is one of these games that can be a little bit confusing, a little bit sort of hard to get into because particularly Arena, the economy is a little bit weird and the gameplay can be a little daunting at first. So we're going to cover today how to actually play the game, how to navigate the Magic the Gathering Arena user interface, and go over some events and different play modes. So without further ado, if you guys like this video, please like, subscribe, share it with anybody else that's wanting to learn how to play Magic the Gathering or MTG Arena. Without further ado, let's get into it. So here you're going to be able to see your home screen. Whenever you launch the client, this is exactly what you're going to see. You're going to see state of the game, news announcements, things like that here. You will see over in these three little panels any of the new events that you're able to play. What we're really concerned about seeing down here is our daily quests and the rewards that we get from those quests. Before we get into that, there are two forms of currency on Magic the Gathering Arena. There's gold, and there are gems. Typically, gems are going to be what you purchase from the store. This game is free to play, but you have the option to invest real world dollars into this to buy gems. And gems can be used to play events, to buy packs, to buy cards, cosmetics, the whole deal. Gold is what you're going to be earning from completing your quests and as some rewards for events. So down here I have one. We'll see the description here that says earn wins in standard play, ranked modes, or events 2 out of 15. So as you win more, you get more rewards. My next reward for my win will be 100 gold and 25 mastery XP, which we will get into. These tabs up here in the top left, this is our home screen. If we go one over, it's our profile. Right here you can see my avatar, my username. If you are sending a friend request to somebody else on Magic the Gathering Arena, you will have to include this hashtag or pound sign, number sign, and these 5 digits here. Here's my constructed rank for the month. Here's my limited rank for the month. We will get into that a little bit more as the video goes along, but basically constructed is when you play formats where you build your own deck, bring it to the table, and play against other people who've built their own decks. Limited is when you open packs and build decks from the cards that you have, and you play people who also have open packs. Down here is the Mastery Pass, if you so choose. To purchase it at the beginning of when a set is released, you will earn extra rewards, and that can be purchased with real world money. Third tab are our decks. This is my personal deck list. I am sure that if you're uploading the client for the first time, you will have some decks that look like this. Or if you haven't completed the color challenge yet, you may not have this many. Don't worry about it. You will get more as you go. But these are the current decks that are the starter decks, if you will. These are decks that Magic the Gathering and Wizards of the Coast has pre-built for players to get started playing the game. Fourth tab over is packs. Currently we have none, but if you earn packs or buy them in-game, you'll have packs here, and you can click open and it will show you all the cards. They're going to be added to your collection. Fifth tab over is the store. Currently, we are looking at, so here we have a cosmetic, which is an alternate art for a card style. You can purchase packs, you can purchase gems, a little bit more on that later. We also have a sub menu down here that splits up gems, packs, daily deals, bundles, all that good stuff. But let's get into actually playing the game. So whenever you first launch the client, it's going to want you to complete the color challenge, meaning that it's going to have you play against an AI opponent and it will have a brief tutorial about how the game works. But this will cover after you've done that. We'll cover and play a game here, and I'll explain the mechanics a little bit more in depth, because I always find that the color challenge is a little bit lacking. So let's go ahead and play a bot match, and you do that by clicking play over here. And you'll see all the different play modes, which we will go over after we've played a match. But for now, let's select bot match. So we're going to play against the AI. And we'll choose one of these starter decks that you're likely to have right now. Let's play a single color deck just for the sake of keeping it simple. We'll play Keep the Peace, which is a white deck using plains to generate white mana. And we'll go into play. So this screen will match you with an opponent. When it's ready, it will say ready and we'll launch you into the game. In this case, our opponent is Sparky, the AI for Magic the Gathering Arena. This is our opening hand. A player has an opening hand of 7 cards. Typically, you want to see some land, you want to see some creatures and spells. You have the option to mulligan if you don't like your hand or you don't get a good hand, so you have 0 lands or you have 6 lands. That's not really a good balance. You're going to want to mulligan that. By clicking mulligan, you will draw 7 new cards, but then the penalty for that is you'll take one of those cards, place them to the bottom of your library. So let's analyze this hand. As we know from the color challenge, we know that playing lands, you get to play 1 land a turn. And these lands can be tapped to generate mana of the color that's represented on the card. So plains generate white mana. If we look at our first card here that's not a land, we have a creature named Hallowed Priest. If you look in the top right corner of the card, you'll see its casting cost. You'll notice that there is a white mana symbol that is also represented on the plains card. So if you see it says 1 with a circle around it and a white mana symbol, that's indicating to you that it needs 1 white mana, which can be provided by a plains, and 1 additional mana of any color. Could be provided by an island, mountain, forest, swamp, or whatever. We see here in the middle, we have the characteristics of this card. It is a creature. The sub-characteristics are that it's a human and it's a cleric. Sometimes that matters. Down here on every creature card, you will see 2 numbers divided by a slash. The left number is the creature's power. Think of it as the attack or the damage that it deals. The right number is its toughness. How much damage can it take before it dies? In this case, it deals 1 damage, or has 1 power, and has 1 toughness or 1 life before it goes into your discard from the battlefield. Now, any text relevant to the card will be in the middle here. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on Hallowed Priest, which is this card right here. So every time that you gain life, this creature gets an additional power and toughness permanently. So if he's on the board, we play something to gain life, boom, he becomes a 2/2. Okay, let's move on. Another creature, Impassioned Orator, same casting cost, 1 white mana, 1 colorless of any kind. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. And this creature has a power and toughness of 2. Our next creature is Moorland Inquisitor. Again, same casting cost, 1 white mana, 1 mana of any color. This creature has a power and toughness of a 2/2. It is a human soldier. And you'll see that there is a white mana symbol with a 2 right here in the body text of the card. This is indicating to you at any time you may pay this cost, and this creature will gain first strike until end of turn, which we will go over that more when that occurs. But there can be casting costs for activated abilities in the text of the card as well. This is our first card that is not a creature. Same casting cost. This card is an enchantment, and the subclass is Aura. Enchantments are cards that come down, they stay on the battlefield, and they have X amount of effects or a stated effect. The subclass here of aura means that this gets put on a creature. So that creature will have an aura about it with these abilities, or these this text here. Enchant creature, indicating that it goes on a creature. Enchanted creature cannot attack or block. And here we have a higher costed enchantment. This is not an aura, so this goes onto the battlefield, and the effects that it states just take effect. This enchantment costs 2 white mana, indicated by the 2 white symbols in the top right of the card, and an additional 3 mana of any color. So this costs 5, 2 of which have to be white mana. And this enchants a creature. Excuse me, I misspoke. This is an enchant creature aura. The creature that this gets put on gets +3/+3 and has flying, which we will go into as it goes. So, do we want to keep this hand? Looks like a pretty good hand, because we have 2 lands, which we can play 1 a turn. And we have 4 cards that we can play with 2 mana, which we will have enough to play. So, up here, it's indicating that we are going first. We do not get to draw a card when we go first. So let's keep the hand, and let's play our game. Okay, so right off the bat, Magic the Gathering Arena is going to highlight cards that can be played. So right now, we have 2 planes in our hand, one of which can be played a turn. So let's go ahead and click and drag it up and release. We've played our land, that's all we can do, so it auto passes to the opponent. The opponent plays a forest, which generates green mana. We drew a card, because it came back to us, and now it's our turn. The card we drew is over here, it's another plains. We have a total of 3 in our hand. Let's play our next land. Now you'll see highlighted here, we have 3 cards that cost 2 that we are able to play. So which one do we think we want to play first? Our Hallowed Priest is a 1/1. When we gain life, we put a counter on the priest to increase its power and toughness. We have a 2/2. When another creature comes into the battlefield, we gain a life. And we have a 2/2, which we can tap 3 mana to give it first strike until end of turn. I think the best option here is going to be the Impassioned Orator. So I can either click this and drag it out to the battlefield and have Magic the Gathering Arena auto tap my lands, meaning that it will tap what it thinks I want to pay, or what lands it thinks that I would tap to pay this, or I can do it manually. In this case, I'll do it manually, so I'll just click 1 white mana symbol above my avatar indicates that 1 white mana has been applied to my mana pool. Click again, 2 available to me, so I will drag this creature to the battlefield. Opponent plays another forest. They have 2 green mana available to them, and they play a Treetop Warden elf warrior creature that has a power of 2 and a toughness of 2. Okay. We have another land to play. Let's go ahead and play our land, giving us a total of 3 planes. So we can play anything in our hand right now except for Angelic Reward, which costs a total of 5. So in this situation, we would like to get another creature on the board, so that way we can do some battle and not feel like we're underpowered here. So we'll drag this out, play it, and you can see the 2 planes are highlighted, leaving 1 planes behind because this total cost is 2. It's saying these are the lands that are going to be tapped to add white mana to your pool, which I'm fine with. So I'll release this. This creature came down. And this card says when another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. Well, this creature entered, we gained a life. So we are at 21 life. Then the Hallowed Priest says when you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on Hallowed Priest. That's the reason that this creature is a 2/2. Alright, now we're starting our attack step. We can choose no attacks, all attack, or we can individually choose which creatures we want to send in to attack. In this case, if we attack with a 2/2, they then assign their blockers. So the opponent has the choice to either block our 2/2 with their 2/2, or let the damage come through, bringing them to 18 life. So we have a decision to make. Do we want to attack with our Impassioned Orator, take the chance of them blocking and both of these creatures dying because they both have 2 power and 2 toughness? Or do we think that they're going to let that go through? Or do we just hang back? In this scenario, we have 2 auras that make creatures unable to attack or block. So I think we hold back. Next turn, maybe we cast this on their Treetop Warden so we can get both of our creatures to attack. Okay, opponent plays a 3rd forest, having 3 green mana available, pays all 3 of those for Wildwood Patrol, a Centaur Scout, which is a 4/2 creature, meaning that it has 4 power and 2 toughness. This creature also has Trample. Now, if you ever come across a card where it has an ability that you're not sure of what it is, you can look to the left of that card when it's highlighted, and you'll see an explanation, and the explanation is this. A creature with Trample can deal excess combat damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking. Meaning, a creature with Trample, if I block with this 2/2, my creature will deal 2 damage to the Wildwood Patrol. The Wildwood Patrol will deal 4 to my Orator. Since my Orator only has 2 toughness, that other 2 damage that's left over will come to me, bringing me to 19 health. Typically, creatures without Trample deal all their damage to whatever's blocking them. So say this creature didn't have Trample, it would be a 10/2, and I blocked it with a 2/2. None of that damage would come through to me since it was blocked. But since it has Trample, that leftover damage, whatever is over my toughness of the Impassioned Order, will come through to me personally. Opponent is attacking with a Treetop Warden, as indicated by this creature being tapped. See how it's tilted? Just like these lands are tapped. And also this red arrow. So now we have the opportunity to choose blockers. In this situation, our creatures are more valuable to us right now because they can gain us life and get bigger. So let's let this 2 damage come through, bringing us to 19. So we'll declare no blocks. And it becomes our turn. We did not draw a land. We have no land to play for the turn. But we know from our Impassioned Order, if we play a creature, we gain a life, and then our Hallowed Priest becomes a 3/3. So it can grow over time. But if we go in with these 2 creatures, one of them will die because this creature can block it. So let's cast our Pacifism Aura on a creature and make it unable to attack or block. And we will cast it. We'll target the Wildwood Patrol. Now we can attack in effectively for 4 damage, bringing our opponent to 16 health, not having to worry about that thing attacking us next turn or blocking one of our creatures. We'll click All Attack, confirm 2 attackers, and we deal 4 damage to our opponent. Our opponent plays a forest for the turn, taps 2 of that mana to play Treetop Warden, leaving 2 untapped. Remember, this creature can't attack or block. This one can. Our draw for the turn is a Plains. Now we have 4 total mana available to us. Okay, so we have a choice here. We can play Angel of Vitality as another creature. Angel of Vitality is a 2/2 flying angel. A creature with flying cannot be blocked by other creatures without flying. So think of it as a battlefield. If there are two armies facing off against each other and I have a plane coming through, you're not going to be able to block that plane without another plane. Same thing with a flying creature. If you have a bird that goes in, it flies over all the opponent's creatures and hits the opponent directly. This creature also has a power of 2, toughness of 2, and it says if you would gain life, you gain that much life plus 1 instead. This creature also gets +2/+2 as long as you have 25 or more life. So if we play this creature, we'll trigger Impassioned Order, gaining a life, making our Hallowed Priest into a 3/3 creature. So let's play this, and we'll watch those effects take place. Gained 2 life by playing a creature. We gained life, so our Hallowed Priest goes to 3. So now we can effectively attack because our opponent only has a blocker of a 2/2. So let's attack with only this, because if we send in the order, they can block and kill it. They decide to block it because they don't want to take the damage, but we have killed their creature and our creature survives because our toughness was higher than their power. So let's pass to combat. Let the opponent choose their attackers. Opponent is attacking with a 2/2. We have a 2/2. We can block, and both of these creatures will die. We also have our 2/2 here. We can block, and both the creatures will die. In this case, because this creature can't be blocked by theirs, this is a more powerful creature than what's coming at us. So maintaining this in our battlefield is more important than stopping that 2 damage. So let's go no blocks and let this creature hit us and go down to 17. Okay, we drew in other planes. Let's play that for the turn. We have 5 planes now. Remember, this creature can't attack or block, so we can actually attack in with all of our creatures. But before we do that, we have a decision to make. Do we play Moorland Inquisitor? Do we play Pacifism on their Treetop Warden? Or do we play Angelic Reward, giving one of our creatures +3/+3 and flying, which is a very powerful effect? If we played this on our Hallowed Priest, it would right now become a 6/6 flying permanently until either this or that card is destroyed. So let's tap 5 mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll play Angelic Reward. And Angelic Reward asks us, which creature do you want to attach this to? In this case, we're going to attach it to the Hallowed Priest. And you'll see this creature become a 6/6 flying creature, and it will levitate the same way Angel of Vitality is. Okay? Now that we have no mana left to cast anything, we're automatically going to our attack step. So we have a decision to make whether we want to leave something behind to block or we want to attack with everything. In this situation, we know we're attacking with our 6/6, and I think we'll attack with our 2/2 as well, leaving our 2/2 behind to block if necessary. They have no blockers, so we're going to hit them for 8 damage. Opponent's turn, they play a land. They play a 3 mana cost enchantment, Colossal Majesty. At the beginning of your upkeep, which is the very start of your turn, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, they may draw a card. So if they have creatures that are power 4 or greater, at the beginning of their turn, they get to draw an additional card, which is a very powerful effect. So they're coming in with a 2/2. Let's look a step further and say, do we want to block this with our order, or do we want to let this damage through? If we let it through, we go to 15. If we block, our Order and the Treetop Warden both die. Currently, we have 8 damage we're able to deal them next turn, and they have 8 health. So we're looking at what's called a lethal attack next turn. So I don't see any harm in letting this creature come in and hit us for 2 damage. So we'll declare no blocks. Okay. So we know that we have 6 and 2 here. Flying creatures cannot be blocked by either of these creatures. Definitely not this one, because it's a pacifist now. So let's attack with both of these and see if our opponent has any instant spells, meaning spells that can be played on our turn against us to stop this from happening. Opponent did not, so we claim victory over our opponent. Okay? And that's how a game would go, typically. So you're going to play your lands, you're going to look at what you can play based on the mana that you have available to you, and you're going to go back and forth with your opponent. Now, if you are new to the game, I'm going to explain some different card types and abilities before we go. This interface that I'm using right here is to build a deck, and I'll do a separate video on that because there's a lot that goes into this. This is sort of an introductory thing. So, we've already discussed creatures. Excuse me. And creatures are like basically the bread and butter of most decks. You're going to want to have quite a few creatures in your deck. So let's take Battlefield Raptor, for instance. If you had this placed in your deck, you would see that it costs 1 white mana. It has 1 power, 2 toughness. It is flying, as we already discussed, and it has first strike. What does first strike mean? First strike means that this creature deals its damage first before any other creatures do without first strike. So let's say you had the Battlefield Raptor attacking your opponent, and your opponent has a 1 power, 1 toughness flyer, and they assign it to block. You would think, okay, both those creatures hit each other at the same time. That is not the case when you have a creature with first strike. In this scenario, our Battlefield Raptor would deal its 1 damage to the 1 toughness of the opposing creature before that creature struck back, meaning that creature dies before it deals any damage back to the Raptor. This can be pretty powerful, particularly when you have creatures with a high power. Whenever someone attacks in and you have first strike on your creature, you can kill their creature without them killing yours. Flying is something that we've already discussed. We've already discussed trample. Let's go over a few other abilities here. Okay, so this is a card that I was talking about when we were playing our match against the opponent. This card takes 1 green mana. It's called Snakeskin Veil. Down in the middle of the card, you'll see where it would say creature on other ones or enchantments like we've seen. This card says instant. Instant means this card can be played at any time. You don't have to wait for your turn to play it. So if your opponent is playing, they're attacking you, whatever, whenever, this card can be played at any time that you would like it to be. The text of the card is put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It gains hexproof until end of turn. Well, what is hexproof? Hexproof means the player or creature or permanent with hexproof cannot be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control. So let's say that you have a 2/2 creature. Your opponent casts a shock, which deals 2 damage to a creature. You can, after your opponent plays shock, you can play this and make your creature a 3/3 and hexproof, meaning that your creature will survive. And that's using a different thing called the stack, which we'll cover in another video. If you're watching on YouTube, guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and comment down there. I'm pretty good at watching them and checking them. So if you do some comments, I'll be able to answer more questions. Let's run over the card types here. We've went over creature, instant. Sorcery is a card that you can play only on your turn, and typically it has a one-time effect and then it gets discarded into your graveyard. So let's look at a sorcery card. In this case, we'll look for red. Red has powerful sorceries. What's going to be the best one here? Let's take a card like Royal Eruption. There are multiple keywords on this card. So this card, you can see it has a fire blast in the black background, indicating that's going to be pretty nasty to somebody that would be in that. It costs 1 red mana and 1 mana of any color. It is a sorcery, meaning that you can play that on your turn anytime you could play a creature or an enchantment or anything after you've played a land. It states that Royal Eruption deals 3 damage to any target, meaning you can target your opponent directly or you can target one of their creatures. If this spell was kicked, it deals 5 damage instead. And you'll see above that a kicker with the number 5 next to it. What kicker is essentially a way to upgrade your spells. So you can play this for 2, deal 3 damage to any target, or if it's late in the game, you can play this for a total cost of 7. 1 red mana, 1 colorless, and then an additional 5 mana of any color. If you play it for 7, it will deal 5 instead. So sorceries are something that you can play on your turn. Typical sorceries include what are called removal spells, like this is, that you can get rid of your opponent's creatures or permanents without having to do it in combat. Let's look at another. Okay, we've already gone over enchantment. Let's look at artifacts. Now, artifacts can be colorless. There are also colored artifacts. Stick with me, I know it sounds kind of confusing. But we'll take a look at a regular artifact before anything else. So let's take a look at Raven Wings. This is an artifact. It costs 2 colorless mana. It does not need a mana of any color, specific color to be played. It stays on the battlefield. And this is an artifact equipment, as you can see in the middle of the card where its types are. It says equipped creature gets +1/+0, has flying, and is a bird in addition to its other types. And you can see from the picture that it's basically just some cobbled wings that a human is wearing. So how these work is you pay 2 to put them on the battlefield, and then down at the bottom you can see it says equip 2, which means you pay an additional 2 and you equip this to your creature, and it functions much like the enchantment that we put on our creature to make it 6/6 in the previous game that we just played. There are also artifact creatures like Skyclave Sentinel, which costs 3 colorless and has a power of 2 and a toughness of 3. I'm not going to go into great detail about all the text on it, but there are artifact creatures, there are artifact equipments, and there are just regular artifacts. Like this card, Spare Supplies. Costs 2 to come in. You can see the picture. It's a pack and a machete and a couple of potions. When it comes to the battlefield, it enters tapped. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card, and then you can tap 2 mana of any color and tap this Spare Supplies artifact, sacrifice it, meaning it goes to your discard or your graveyard, and you can draw a card. So it's kind of matching the flavor of the card, which it's basically you find a pack with a machete next to it and you open it, and when you open it you're sacrificing the Spare Supplies to get the resources therein. So guys, that was kind of like a little rough, quick and dirty breakdown of Magic the Gathering Arena, how games are played, how the interface works. If you want me to do a more in-depth one, or if you have any questions, leave the comments down below on YouTube. You can also follow me at Twitter. It's twitter.com/KaeroMTG. Same username. And if you want to see me play some matches, I am streaming live on Twitch, or you can check out the rest of the videos on this channel. I have all kinds of gameplay in there. If you want to look at some cool decks, some other things that I've been doing, twitch.tv/KaeroMTG if you want to follow live, or you can certainly look at the rest of the videos on this channel for gameplay videos. I hope you have a great night, and I will see you next time. For now, take care.